is your digital workbook on rounding. In this digital workbook, you will be working on rounding numbers to the nearest 10 and rounding numbers to the nearest 100. This is your game board. There are 19 different spots on the game board that represent the 19 different tasks you're going to be doing to practice rounding. You will start here where it says View Reference Sheet. The reference sheet page is just a reminder of the important things that you should remember when working on rounding. You will end here at Quick Check. The Quick Check is a 5-question quiz. When you finish the Quick Check, your scores will go to your teacher so that he or she knows you are finished with your digital workbook on rounding. Keep in mind that the colors on the game board match the colors at the top of the skill pages. For example, this spot is called Skill Check and it's purple. It is the second spot on your game board. The second page after your game board is also called Skill Check and it is also purple. The colors match to help you find your way through your digital workbook. Your goal for this assignment is to move your game piece through the board as you complete the pages of your digital workbook. The first thing that you need to do is decide which color game piece you're going to start with. If you feel like this is a new skill for you or that you're not yet understanding this skill, you will start with the red game piece. If you feel like you're starting to understand this skill but you know you still need some practice, you will start with the yellow game piece. And if you feel like you've got this skill down and you could even teach it to a friend, you will start with the green game piece. You will click and drag the circle to show which game piece you're going to start with. A few other things to keep in mind as you work on your digital workbook. If you get stuck on a page, make sure that you read the directions on the page out loud to yourself 3 times and really think about what the directions are asking you to do. If you still aren't sure what to do, drag the question mark that's on your game board on top of the page's spot on the board and move on to the next page in your digital workbook until your teacher can help you. Remember how you picked a game piece color on the previous page? Now take that color game piece that you chose, click and drag it to the first spot on your game board called View Reference Sheet. You will need to work your way spot by spot through the game board until you get to the end called Quick Check. If you get stuck on any of these skill pages, you will need to click and drag the question mark to its game board spot. Think of this question mark on your game board as your signal to your teacher that you need just a little help, just like you raise your hand when you have a question in class. As you work your way through the game board, you may start to feel that you understand this skill just a little bit better than you did before. You can change the color of your game piece at any time. The reason you should change your game piece color as you're working through your game board is because your teacher will be able to check in with you just by looking at your game board. If you're using the red piece, that will tell your teacher that you're not understanding the skill just yet. If your teacher sees the yellow game piece on your game board, they will know that you are getting the hang of this skill. If they see your green piece on the game board, they are going to know that you feel so confident in what you know about this skill that you could teach it to a friend. Reference sheet, and it is where your game board starts. The only thing that you need to do on the reference sheet is to review the information that is presented. For each problem, you will need to click and drag the pin to show where each number is located on the number line. Then you will click and drag the highlight and place it over the 10 that it is closest to. Then you will click, erase the question mark, and type this number rounded to the nearest 10 on the line. Watch it, you will need to click the play button to watch the video. When you click the play button, you will see a link. You will need to click this link, watch the video, and then type at least one sentence telling something that you learned or found interesting from this video. This skill check is the same as the previous. You will click and drag your pin to show where each number is located. You will click and drag the highlight to highlight the 10 from the number line, and then you will type this number, rounded to the nearest 10, on the line. Math words. You will need to click and drag these colored highlights onto one of these definitions. For example, if you were trying to find the definition of estimate, you would look for the yellow highlight. Then you would choose which definition matches estimate. For this skill check, you will need to drag the number tiles to show each number rounded to the nearest 10. For example, 53 rounded to the nearest 10. For sort it out, you will need to drag each of these bears to the correct column. 671. Ask yourself, is 671 a number that is rounded to the nearest 10? Is it a number that is rounded to the nearest 100? Or is this not a rounded number? For this skill check, you will do the same as the first two. You will take the pin and drag and drop it on the point where each number is located on the number line, and then you will highlight the nearest 100 using this movable highlight. Then you will erase the question mark and write this number rounded to the nearest 100. For this page, you need to match the blue puzzle pieces to the correct purple 10 or 100 that they round to. So you're going to need to ask yourself for each blue piece, if I rounded this number to the nearest 10 or 100, what would it be? This answer would be, if I'm rounding to the nearest 10, it would be rounded to 20. So I would click and drag to put the puzzle piece in its place. This skill check is the same as previous. Take the pin, drag and drop it on the number where each is located on the number line, and then highlight the nearest 100 using the movable highlight. Erase the question mark and type the rounded answer. For this page, you will need to drag the digits to make any number that would be rounded to each number given. For example, the first one is 600. Whatever number you put here, when you round this number, it will be rounded to 600. So I can put 567 because when I round 567 to the nearest 100, it equals 600. There will be multiple correct answers for each of these problems. This skill check, you will need to drag the number tiles to show each number rounded to the nearest 100. For this page, you will need to read the question and type your answer. This page is another Watch It. You will click the play button and then click this link where you'll be taken to a video. After you watch the video, you will type at least one sentence telling something that you learned or found interesting from the video. For this skill check, you're going to drag the number tiles to show each number rounded to the underlined place value. For example, in this number, 248, the number 4 is underlined. Since 4 is in the tens place, you will need to round 248 to the nearest 10. This number is 389. The number 3 is underlined and 3 is in the hundreds place. So you will need to round 389 to the nearest 100. For this question, you're going to give an answer using your words to describe your thinking as you solve the problem below. You're going to click to type your answer in words right here. Here are some hints on some transition words that you could use as you explain your answer. When you get your final answer to this question, make sure you click and type it in the box below. On this page, you get to be the teacher, and you are going to grade Smiley's homework. Drag a circle over the answers that are wrong. And if he gets more than 5 correct, you get to drag a star sticker to the top of his paper. This is the poster design. You are going to get to use your Google Draw to make your own reference sheet. Draw a representation of how to round numbers to the nearest 10 or how to round numbers to the nearest 100 to show your teacher that you understand this skill. And finally, you are at the quick check. You will need to click here on the pen and paper, and it will give you a link to your 5-question quick check. Remember, when you're done with your quick check, it will be sent to your teacher so that they know you're completed with your digital workbook on rounding.